about 4 years ago, I got a phone call from this guy and said, this is, I think it was the beginning of COVID. He calls me up and says, hey, I heard you have a bike for sale. I go, no, I have a bike, but it's not for sale. It's hanging up on my wall, collecting dust. And he says, no, you have a bike for sale. I go, no. He says, well, everything's for sale.
Oh.
And I gave him a price that I thought nobody would buy a bicycle for.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm on my way. I have cash.
And gentlemen, we are live with Eddie freaking Fiola. Eddie, thank you very much for coming on, bro.
Hey, no problem.
Wow, dude. You know, Danny and I have been looking forward to this for a long time. Right, Danny?
Yeah, it's our first official freestyler on the BMXPERTS podcast because we've only done racers so far. So this is a big leap. We figured we'll start with the most iconic guy ever in freestyle.
Yeah, we'll work our way down.
We went kind of big.
Well, Eddie, I appreciate you. We obviously we had to reschedule, and we both appreciate your patience and your time. And I know that you don't have a job. You don't have a normal job now. Your normal job is being Eddie Fiola now, so that's cool for you.
Pretty much. Yeah, if I get a phone call from some friends of mine, to hit the ground, that's pretty much what I've done. The last job I worked on was for Disney, and I doubled Cheech from Cheech and Chong. So,
wow.
Yeah, on a Disney movie, Cheech was on it. So,
how would you imagine that Cheech would ever be on a Disney movie?
He turned into, so the shot was. He was a grandfather of a Mexican-American family, and it's pretty much Vacation, but Mexican-American. So, and it was a Disney film, so it was really cool.
And you don't do just bike stuff; you do all kinds of different stunts.
Oh, I've been shot, beat up, ran over by cars, thrown off buildings. Yeah, I've done it all.
Yeah, dude. That's the way to do it. Well. I don't know. Is it worth it? Looking back, was it totally worth it?
I could feel some memories.
Yeah, dude, I can imagine that, dude. Like, I if I was in your position, I would carry my insurance card with me in my back pocket every time I went to work, man.
Right? No, hey, believe me, it's worth it. It's different every time. And I think I had the knack only because I rode BMX and had fallen so many times doing freestyle. When they ask you to fall and it's not on accident, it's so much easier.
Yeah, dude, I can totally agree. Danny, what do you got? What's your first topic you want to talk about, bro?
All right, let's get rolling. Okay, so when I set up our trivia tonight, I try to keep it kind of freestyle-ish for you, Eddie. So I'll let you know that. So we don't swamp you with race questions.
I used to race. I did race.
That's what I was going to ask you, because when I've seen you, obviously everybody's talked to you about rad till they're blue in the face, so I won't beat you up on that. But when I watched you race in the qualifying rounds of the movie, you were moving like a racer. It wasn't like a guy pretending to be a racer. So yeah. What was your race experience like?
I did. I went right up to expert. But the whole reason I went to the BMX track is because they built jumps, and I like to jump. And I raced at Orange, YMCA, Harbor, BMX back in the day. Ascot, that's even going back even farther. but they built jumps and to be able to ride jumps that were made just to, ride BMX bikes on. It was the way to go. And I always told people like I wasn't the fastest, but I was doing 360s back then before anybody else. And who are you going to remember? The guy that got first or the guy that did the 360 over the double?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, because I noticed your riding style was really evident to me, because like I've watched and rewatched that movie and I've analyzed it for my channel, and I go, man, he's moving like a guy that's raced before. And I know freestylers are great riders overall. I know that, but when I was watching, I go, yeah, he's moving like a racer. So it was really impressive. But I saw you take a pretty hard headshot like during the qualifying rounds. And did you get a concussion from that? Is that what I'm understanding?
Oh, I got knocked the F out. Right? I hit the ground. I got hit by a pedal. I got hit by the guy. It was not planned. And the funny thing is that if you watch that movie really, really close, you could see all the pro racers all have their fingers on their brakes because they have to be pedaling, and they're so much faster than I was, but they had to be pedaling so that it would look like they were trying to catch me, but they're all scrubbing and running their brakes, and so that I would look faster or that I could at least keep up to those guys. Yeah.
Well,
that worked. That worked because it was convincing. You had something, Kevin?
No, Eddie, I just had one thing. I'm nervous, guys. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to the. I only have one real question, and was the damn movie based on your life or no? Because there's no freestyle in it that I know of, and I've never seen the movie. But was it based on your life or no?
So here's the deal: is that at this point in time, BMX was on top, and a lot of people were buying the magazines, and freestyle was in, and everybody rode a BMX bike. So a company wanted to do a movie about BMX, but they had no idea what it was about and how to do it and what it was. So they contacted the magazine. The magazine said, "Hey, talk to this guy." So they gave him my address and my phone number, and so they called me and asked me if they could come by and talk to me. Now, this is a couple months or a year before they even did the movie, and they came by, and it was Hal Needham and the director and the screenwriter, and they asked me a bunch of questions, and then they up and left, right? So they asked me questions. I forgot everything about them. A year later, they called me up and they said, "Hey, we're doing a movie and we want you to be the stunt man to do all the stunts in it." And I, at that point in time, I said yes. So after reading the script and seeing that, the kid, grew up without his dad, I grew up without my dad. I just wanted to ride my bike. I didn't go to college. It's roughly based off of my life story. So
got it.
Yeah, it could be, So yes and no. I'm not going to say it was or wasn't, but it follows me all the way through. So
I hear you. Okay, all right, fair enough. One more question, and then I'll let Danny take over. And if
take your time.
I watched an interview with RL one time. Yeah, he said that they called him, and he was on freestyle tour, and he was in his bathtub in a hotel room with a bottle of Jack Daniels between his legs, and they called him and offered him the movie, and he told them, "No, call Eddie." Have you ever heard the story before?
I have not, and that's the first I've heard of it. And if it actually did happen that way, I thank him, and
Wow, you've never heard that? Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. The funny thing about you, Eddie, is the first time I saw you in person, because I had never seen you in person other than in the magazines, and I went to Frogtown. I can't remember which one it was. I've been to all of them, But I was, you were there, and man, everybody was talking to you, man. You were like standing, people just kept coming up and talking to you. And I was thinking, oh, there's Eddie Fiola, but I couldn't get near you because everybody was like waiting to talk to you. And I think that everybody was kind of starstruck because to see you at a race event was pretty cool, because it's not your genre, but BMX is BMX, right. And you were there, so that was really, really cool. When you look at the two events, if you take Frogtown into account and you look at Dirty Fest, what are your opinions of the two events? Are they very different to you? Are they very the same to you? Do you get different vibes from both events? How do you feel about that?
I think both are equally as cool, right? So it's just that Frogtown is Northern California, and not a lot of people from Southern California want to travel up that high and that far to go to go to that type of area. And the same thing is with, Dirty Fest is, Southern California, Vail Lake. It's not exactly, down the street from, Northern California where everybody else is. And, and that's where I like to go to a couple different places. Like I just got back from Indiana. Right. And what's funny is that, when I do shows and I come out here in a crowd that I'm from California and I show up, we get a couple people asking for autographs and we sell a couple shirts and hats and things like that. But when I go outside our comfort zone and we go out to England or France or Switzerland and things like this, even Australia, man, there's a line out the door, and I'm signing autographs all day long. And just those people that don't get to meet me or ask me questions and things like that. That's why it's really cool for these, these interviews here, the podcasts, is that, from people from in different countries can watch you guys and watch this thing and they can watch it over and over. And if they missed a segment of it, then they get it. So I like that Dirty Fest is down the street from my house. But yeah, Frogtown, I got to see a lot of different racers that I haven't seen in a long time. And they did it a little bit different than Frogtown, but I think both are really cool.
That's a good answer. I'll accept it.
I got a question. You're traveling a lot. All these places that you go to, is that all on your own dime?
So a lot of the times we have, these countries would have a bike show kind of like Dirty Fest or Frogtown, and they would have a show and shine, right? So every bike that comes in, the entry fee is, let's say, $15. Well, we had suggested if every bike that comes in, you add $5 to every entry fee, that will pay for my airfare, my hotel, my food, my rent-a-car, and pay me to be there. If you, instead of one guy having to put out $10,000 to pay for it all, it's $5 from everybody that comes in, and it worked out really well. So no, it hasn't come out of my pocket. We just made it to where it worked out, and it worked. So
that's awesome. Dude, that was my one question. I was like, man, Eddie must be the most generous and rich BMXer that ever was, because boy, you're always out traveling, man. I was like, they got to be breaking him off something. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I told people that if I had an unmitigated amount of money, I would literally go to every one of these shows. I would not announce that I'm going. I would just show up. I'd love to show up and to every single. The only one I don't think I want to go to is Swamp Fest. That's a gnarly one. Those guys are like burning shit down, and
I haven't even heard of that one.
It's not a BMX race deal. It's all freestyle and street and dirt and dirt jumps and all this stuff, and they make this huge riding area, and at the very end, they light it on fire.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, so
Kevin, you got to ask your boys about that one.
You
Yeah, it's
mentioned
in
dirt
Florida.
jumping. You mentioned dirt jumping. If dirt jumping was around back in our day, do you think you would have participated, or do you think you would have stuck to the pools?
I think I would have participated. Matter of fact, I mean, I jumped the dirt jumps, and back then, remember, BMX was everything. It was flatland,
Yeah.
it was freestyle, it was ramps, it was quarter pipes, it was dirt jumps, it was racing, it was anything that you could ride your bike and go to. So,
Got it.
I got a couple questions. The one thing I was going to go back to is the whole freestyle boom. So let's say it was probably 83-ish. It started getting really, really big, 83, 84, 85. It was getting really big. Did you anticipate that happening, Eddie, or was it just a stroke of luck that you were in the right place at the right time?
I think I was in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So I look at freestyle and I look at BMX racing. When you look at BMX racing and you look at the race bikes, the race bikes weren't cheap. And to race, you had to go to a track, right? And there weren't that many tracks around, but if you could find a track, it was great. But when we started to do freestyle, that opened up a whole world of people being able to ride anywhere and try anything. So it's kind of like, and I put this like the kids today that are doing wheelies, right? So they're doing wheelies. They can do a wheelie anywhere, in the parking lot, in the street, in the backyard, anywhere. And freestyle was that back in the 80s, is that you could ride freestyle in your front yard, your backyard, your neighbor's house, and you could ride your bike from point A to point B and still do freestyle in between. Where BMX racing, you had to go to a track, you had to, have jumps, and you had to do things, where freestyle was in your front yard. And so that made it possible, and I think that made BMX companies being able to sell their bikes to a lot more kids.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, where I never really thought of it that way, because the freestyle is so accessible. You're outside and you're doing freestyle. In racing, it's a whole ordeal. You got to plan it, pack up to go to the races, and the obviously the investment to go and things like that. So that's the first time I ever really thought about it, Eddie, because I was like, as a racer in the 80s, it was driving me insane. I'm like, why is everybody doing freestyle? Why isn't, and I noticed that the magazines started to shift, where I was like getting a BMX Action magazine, and there was like this much freestyle and this much racing. So I'm like, wow, it's really starting to flip over. And I kind of
look at what, the bicycle manufacturers and the companies. I mean, like, they're going to try to sell bikes anywhere. Where it's if they're gonna sell more freestyle bikes, and that's where they're gonna start sticking more money in for the advertisements, and whatever's selling is gonna boost wherever they're gonna be. So unfortunately, freestyle came up, and then around 88 or 89, it kind of died out, and where BMX racing ended up in the Olympics in 08, right? So
yeah. I was going to ask you this, because I know, and this is really related to what you're talking about. So you see all the major bike manufacturers, GT was doing it, Kuwahara, Mongoose, Skyway, everybody's jumping on board, right? And they're creating freestyle bikes. Now, were these bikes really designed for you guys to do what you were doing, or was it just a gimmicky thing to make it fit what you were doing? Did they evolve correctly, or was it down the road that the bike started making more sense? Since I've never really ridden a freestyle bike, so I don't really know.
Right. So when we got sponsored by GT, when Bob Morales and I got sponsored by GT, Bob used to ride, I think, a Torker. I think there's a Torker up there, right? A Torker. And
Mm-hmm.
I, at this point in time, was riding an SE or a quad angle or a PK Ripper. Anyhow, they handed us I think it was an Interceptor or a Mach 1, one of the two. But they said, okay, do some freestyle. And back then, there was no freestyle bikes. The only thing that's even close to a freestyle bike was the Torker, because it had the double top tubes. And you could stand on it, right? Well, when we went to GT, we had suggested something so that we could stand on the frame like a Torker. That was Bob Morales' favorite part, was so that he could do a frame stand, so he could take his hands off and ride next. And then I wanted to do a cross up. And I remember that the brakes kept hitting on the frame on the down tube. And to prevent the frame or the MX 1000s from hitting, I remember seeing a red line, and the bottom tube went higher on the steer tube, and then they had the bottom gusset was flat. And when you spun the bars, the front brake just missed. And so I had suggested to GT that if they did a bend, that I could get my handlebars to spin all the way around. And Gary said, that's, it's never been done. It's this, it's that. I'll do it. I'll try it. And I said, my Schwinn Stingray had a bend, and I never broke that. But then again, I wasn't doing jumps that I did now. So anyhow, Gary built the bike. We tested it. I never broke a bike. I never bent a head tube or snapped anything off. And we rode race bikes that looked like freestyle bikes. We didn't change head tube angle. We didn't change bottom brackets or top tube lengths or anything like that. Later on, the new school kids had figured out that if you stretched out the front end, you wouldn't need a layback C-post. And if you shortened the rear end, you could do pivots a little bit better. So the new bikes have evolved, but I tell everybody back in the day, when you're sponsored by a company, it didn't matter what they gave you. You rode what you rode, and they're paying you to ride this bike. I'm going to learn a front wheel hop on either a GT, a Mongoose, a Redline. It didn't matter what it was. I'm going to ride the bike the way I can. So we rode around the bike.
Did you feel that because the race bikes were typically lighter, and did you feel like when you were in the pools that you were at an advantage on a race bike as opposed to, I don't think you rode a Performer in the pool. I think that came after, unless I'm wrong. But did you feel a disadvantage going to the heavier bike, or did it feel like an advantage, I guess I could say?
I think that I rode a bike that was way too light. I had at one point in time rode a PK Ripper with aluminum rims and aluminum this and aluminum cranks and all this bike, and the bike was too light. It was floaty, and it didn't feel like I was on the bicycle. It just felt too light. Where with the bike that we designed, with the Skyway rims and different mags, it just felt like you got the momentum, and it's more like a motorcycle where it's keeping you in the air. So.
Yeah, because
Danny, I was going to use that same analogy, man, because I don't think Danny's ever really ridden a motorcycle. I've raced motocross for a little bit, so I totally agree with what you're saying. If it just has a little bit of weight to it, it makes you feel more stable. It makes you feel more comfortable and more grounded. Not a lot of weight, but just a little bit more weight. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I have a couple images I was going to share with you, and then we could just talk about that. I have other questions, but I wanted to get some of these images. This one is one of the most iconic top freestyler ones out of BMX action. If you could tell me about this a little bit.
Wow, those are our image ads, right? So that's what our image was back in the day. A little preppy, You're looking at 80s. We wanted to. I mainly rode in a T-shirt and Levi's, and everybody had their own style. And that's the other thing about BMX back then is that we had style. We had, some people called it Elvis, some people called it Michael Jackson. Where it's if you look at freestyle today, they have no style. They're really good riders. They're incredible riders. I couldn't do half the stuff these guys are doing today, but they don't have any pizzazz, any show quality. They're just they're doing the trick and that's it. I mean, and they're doing the trick well. But I'm out there as an entertainer, and that's why they called the performer a performer, because I was the performer and I did performances on it, and we did shows. We were there to entertain the crowds. You guys, and we did this one race in France called the Bercy, and they had this huge race. Well, they brought us out there to entertain the crowd in the middle, and I think RL and I did one year, and then it was myself and Dennis Langlace at one time. And it turned out great. But I mean, again, we back then were entertainers, and we just loved to entertain. I still love to entertain.
That's a great thing, because if you look at this image, and it kind of goes to what you're saying, you're in the pool.
Eddie, he gets on a roll, dude. He won't be stopped. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're in full race gear.
Yes.
On this shot. Yeah. So this is Del Mar, right? Round 3.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I wanted to bring up. And sorry, Kevin, you're right. I'm getting on a roll. So if you look at the current freestylers, T-shirt, jeans, and like the little brain bucket, they're the raddest dudes I've ever seen in my life. There's no denying that. But when you guys were getting in there, it was full on gear. So it was like you were preparing to race in a sense. I think that's a big difference.
Well, the thing is that we wanted to look sponsored. We wanted those sponsors, and if you understand the sponsorship on how you got sponsored and how you were able to ride and get paid because you're riding the bike that they're giving you, a full page. And this is, I learned this from R.L. Osborne, is that, a full page color ad back in the day was $3,000, right? So if I got in a magazine and I got 3 or 4 pictures in it, then the bicycle manufacturer that I'm riding for just got free advertisement. And so if I was getting paid, let's say $2,000 a month, and I got 4 pictures in the magazines, they're happy, I'm happy, the magazine's happy because they're selling magazines, and everybody's happy. So where, I feel bad for these kids that are riding today, because they have to figure out how to prove the fact that they're getting people to watch them. They have to have numbers, they have to have viewers, they have to have subscribers, and they have to have, and now they're starting to promote little products here and there. But we understood back then that it was about our sponsors. And if we wore gear, then that's promoting our sponsors. And if we got that gear in the magazines, then we'd also get a photo contingency from, let's say, a grip sponsor or a helmet sponsor or a leather sponsor. So we were making some good money by looking sponsored. So wearing a T-shirt and Levi's isn't going to get you any money.
And plus, it's job security, right? You make
more
money with job security.
I've been called a sellout. You're just doing it for the money. I'm still riding my bike, and I bought a house, and I bought cars, and I'm still riding a bike. So sellout or just love my job?
Yeah. I got a question. Okay, Eddie, you're 3 years older than I am. Go back to what kind of guy were you in high school, dude? What was your vibe? Were you a new waver? Were you a punker? Were you a rocker? What was your whole thing? Did you take your bike to school every day? Tell us about your school days on a bike.
School days. Okay, check this out. This is so when I went to school, they didn't understand the concept of people who were, I'm going to say this, dyslexic, right? So I didn't do well in school. So they literally stuck me in a remedial class. I was in the class with the short bus. I stayed in one class. Literally, I stayed in one class all day long, and I had one teacher that taught reading, writing, math, history. She did this. One lady did everything, and we stayed in one class. I was in the class that had disabilities. That some of these kids had more disabilities than being dyslexic, but I just rode my bike. I rode my bike to school. I put it in the room. My teacher let me bring my bike to the school and stick it in the room, and I didn't have to lock it up with all the other bikes because this was what I did. I just rode my bike. I competed in wrestling, and I also competed in track where I was a pole vaulter. And the reason I did wrestling was it was an individual sport, and the reason I did freestyle because I couldn't blame anybody else for not winning the race, for not wrestling the guy, for not going over the pole high enough. There's only one guy I can blame, and that was myself. I look at these ball sports where it's football, baseball, basketball, where you can always blame, well, you didn't do your job, that's why we didn't win. You didn't do your job, that's why we didn't win. Racing, you got 7 other guys trying to knock your ass out so that they could win. At freestyle, if you fall and knock yourself out, that was your own fault. So,
well, what was your vibe, dude? What kind of vibe? Were you a punker? Were you a heavy metal or what?
I just rode my bike. I clicked with everyone, but I didn't do anything that I didn't hang out with the jocks, but the jocks didn't bother me. I didn't hang out with the punk rockers, but they didn't bother me. I rode my bike, and that's what I was the bike guy. I was the biker. I rode my bike everywhere. I didn't get my license until I was 18, until I got out of high school. I rode my bike everywhere. I didn't have to pay for a car payment. I didn't have to pay for gas. I didn't have to pay insurance. I just rode my bike everywhere. And so that being said, yeah, are you going to take me to the prom on that dumb bike? Yes.
Good throwback, Eddie. That was good.
Eddie, I've asked Danny this question. When you were growing up, junior high, high school, and your mom says, we're getting a car, we're going to go get school clothes, where does she take you to get your school clothes?
So one of the first places, I always needed shoes. And so one of the very first Vans shops was in Lakewood, California. And I know that I had Vans tennis shoes. I had a couple pairs, one to go in school with, one to ride my bike on. And then I think JCPenney's was the place we went for clothes.
Yeah.
I was a smaller guy. I'm still a smaller guy, but there was this company that made these jeans called Tough Skins, right?
I remember those.
That's Sears, man. That's Sears.
Sears. Okay, so Sears had Tough Skins, and they said that they were guaranteed for life for the size that you had. And I didn't grow for a long time, and I kept wearing out the knees and wearing out the butt. My mom would be able to bring these Tough Skins back to the Sears, and they would exchange them, and I got brand new pair. So, like, that's one thing about not getting, not growing fast or anything. So, yeah, Tough Skins. Well, that was my wardrobe.
He threw me back with the Tough Skins.
I froze up. What did he say when he said when he answered the question? I didn't hear it.
Dude, it was Tough Skins. We had a whole conversation on the Tough Skins jeans.
Okay.
And yeah, the Tough Skins jeans, because I got some in elementary, and they were not forgiving jeans, dude. They weren't like Levi's. They were very stiff, and he said he wore out the knees and the backside of them, which absolutely happened. And my mom was ironing on patches over the knees of those things, and because I would get school clothes at the beginning of the year, and I had to make them last, because right around mid-year, my mom would refresh it a little bit. But yeah, I remember the Tough Skins. Like
we went to Miller's Outpost, Eddie. That's where we went. Miller's Outpost.
Miller's was a good place. We've been there. It was just now getting there, and the thing is that Miller's was more expensive than Sears and J.C. Penney's and things like that. But yeah, as we got older, we wanted to look more cool. But I think one of my school photos, I had a T-shirt that had a thumb on it and said, "Hey," from Happy Days.
I had one of those T-shirts, dude.
We used to wear the OP shirts cut off with the shorts we had I don't know, did they do this in your time, but we had our tube socks pulled up to our knees with Vans high tops, dude. That was our summer attire, man, riding. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back a little bit there was a lot of controversy in the 80s between professional BMX racers and professional BMX freestylers. Was that all hype for the magazines, Eddie, or did you really feel any sort of friction between the racers and you guys?
I never had any problem with any of the racers at any time. I tell people today that, I had BMX racers on my wall. I tore pictures out of the magazines, and I had Harry Leary, and I had Stu Thompson and Greg Hill, and Clint Miller. Remember that Torker ad where he's Torker the Barbarian?
Yeah.
That was so cool.
They got sued for that by Paramount Pictures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But hey, that's awesome to hear, because I think from a racer's position, to see the freestylers getting all the attention, I thought there might have been some friction in there. The way it was portrayed in the magazine is there was friction, but that could be just to sell magazines. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted to know, had you had any issues. So let's say you go to a national and they say, hey, you guys come do a show. Of course everybody's going to go watch you guys ride, because you're doing something besides going around the track. And did you ever have a scenario like that at all? I think he's frozen, Kevin.
We did shows at tracks. And we never had any problems. The racers would watch us.
Okay.
I went to Bercy. I went to, the race out there. I went to England. I went to, the clubs contest way back in the 80s with all the racers. We just, they did ours, and we're all just a big happy family, and I really enjoyed that. The bicycle Hall of Fame has, what's the word I'm looking for? They've brought us on also in their Hall of Fame, because we are also BMX riders, and it all has to do with the 20-inch bicycle and kids riding bikes. So
awesome.
Danny, when you were riding, you never did any freestyle? You never did a rock walk or a tire tap 360 or a front wheel pogo or any of this stuff?
No, we always played around with freestyle. Like, it was always curve end.
I wouldn't imagine that.
Yeah, so when you're
freestyles.
Yeah, when you would be out when riding, it was all about who could do a 180 and who could do a rollback and stuff like that. Like, we weren't like great freestylers, but everybody was trying to do tricks, because that it looked cool. When you're a newbie.
If anything, we appreciated at least my crew. We appreciated the freestylers for what they did, because I had the ramp we built the ramp out of BMX Action in like '83 or whatever. They had the plans, and we could never
the 2x4.
Yeah, and we could never get off the top, dude. We could go so close, but no one had the stones to leave the ramp, dude. So, hours and hours and hours on that ramp. So yeah, dude, we never had any problem with freestylers. We wanted to freestyle.
Did you have some struggles, Eddie, with trying to manage being a great aerial rider and doing the flatland? Because you're a great flatlander, man. And I think when people think Eddie Fiola, they immediately see you jumping. But you're a really good flatlander. So how did you manage to perfect both these aspects of the freestyle world? Because that's pretty big, right? It's either you're one or the other usually.
Right. So again, I'm an entertainer, and I wanted to entertain people that everywhere I went. So I knew that I couldn't bring ramps and I couldn't bring a skate park. So I wanted to entertain in other ways. So I started doing flatland, and I could again go out my front yard and do flatland and practice, and I can go anywhere. It's just like having somebody with tattoos, somebody that has art in their house can't show off their art in their house, but the guy with the tattoos on his body can show off his art anywhere. So, and that's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be able to show my art anywhere, my flatland. If I have a ramp, then that happy-go-lucky. But not every ramp is the same. And then I think that's the other thing is that we've learned as BMX freestyle riders back in the day, is that when we did shows in different countries, not every country understood what a quarter pipe, how it was made, and the transitions, the way it's supposed to be smooth. We've ridden ramps that were only 6 feet tall with 2 feet of vert, and we've ridden 10-foot ramps that had no vert. And we rode and I've ridden and did flatland on cobblestone, and we did shows at BMX tracks where we did it in the dirt, where if you brought a kid that does freestyle today and you put him on cobblestone or dirt, he'd go, no, I can't ride here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the whole showman thing makes a lot of sense. I was in San Francisco last year, and I was walking on the Fisherman's Wharf, and there was one guy out there on a flatland bike, and everybody was watching him. Like, he was just doing basic tricks, and I was like thinking, that is so cool. Because as a racer, I don't have a gate to show you how I could snap. So I can only do a few things, but you see this guy and he's just doing these tricks, and I'm like, damn, that is so cool. And one thing that stood out to me too is the stuff that you guys innovated in the 80s, they're still actually doing now. I mean, they've added more to it, obviously, but you can see the whole basic concept that you guys formulated, it's still there. So when you ride, you can still ride with any flatlander, I'm assuming. It's pretty cool.
I can hold my own, and I can do tricks. What's so funny is that I do tricks that are so old they look new.
Hey, is there one trick that's attributed to you that you invented that you could mention that comes to mind that for a fact that you invented it?
So I tell everybody that I haven't invented any of the tricks. I'm because there's somewhere in the world, somewhere at the exact same time, might be doing the exact same thing. What I do tell people is that I might not have invented it, but I might have gotten it in the magazine first. So I know that I did a tire grab. That picture that you have of that magazine where I'm grabbing the tire, I know that nobody else has done it in the magazine that have gotten it in a picture, but I got it in there first. But there's and I didn't name it, and I don't claim that I was the first one to do it, but I have claimed that I got it in the magazine first. But there's the trick that really wows kids today is when I do a backwards nose wheelie. Like come up the ramp and then hit the front brake and then roll down backwards. And yeah, so a lot of kids don't run brakes. So when I have a front brake on and I slide that down, it's really difficult. I'm going to break my teeth. And it's, it's just like doing a normal wheelie that if I grab my brakes really hard, I land back on both tires. So as long as you have good brakes, it works really well. So I don't think I've ever invented a trick that I could call my own, but I claim that I got it in the magazine first. You know that whip that I do in the beginning of Rad, that little leg spin. Somebody's called it a Fiola whip, and that could be something I invented. I haven't seen too many other people do that, so let's just call that one mine.
There you go.
I got one more. So, all the things that you've accomplished, 5 King of the Skate Parks, 4 Nora Cups, all these different contests you won. Stuntman, is there one thing that you didn't reach that you wanted to do that you didn't have a chance to accomplish in your bicycle career? One thing that escaped you?
Good question.
Nothing escaped. So I could literally pass away today and be happy with my life. Married a beautiful wife, have a beautiful kid, I own a home, drive different cars. There was one thing at one point in time, I wanted to try the mega ramp and do an air, not an air, but so somebody called me, it was Mike Escamilla, and said, hey, somebody needs some pads at Paula, the motocross track, because they had set up a mega ramp for the I think it was a motocross and BMX deal that they did. I'm trying to remember the name of it. They did shows. Warp Tour or something like that. Anyhow, okay. They had the mega ramp out there, and they said, "Yeah, you should bring a bike." And I said, "Okay." So I brought my bike, and I went up these stairs, and it was 3 stories high. Man, it was high. Yeah, 3 stories high, and it went almost straight down. And then it was a 50-foot gap and a 70-foot gap, and they had the landing was the like a foam pit, but it was on an angle, so you could land if you wanted to, if you make it. And I brought my bike all the way to the top of this thing, and I was the only one on top, and I'm looking down, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna do this big long skid of shame all the way down this ramp, or I'm gonna walk back down the stairs with my head in my hands and do the walk of shame. And I'm thinking to myself, do I pedal? Do I not pedal? Do I hit my brakes? Do I do this? Do I do that? And then as I think I'm getting ready to walk back down the stairs, this guy in a wheelchair at the bottom of the stairs, and he starts climbing up the stairs with his hands and his butt, right? And he keeps pushing himself up until he gets to the very top level where I'm at, and somebody brings his chair up for him. And I'm going, wow. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. There's no way you're riding down this thing. He says, yeah. And he puts his helmet on. He puts a strap around his legs, and there's no guardrails on this thing coming down this hill. Like if he pulled one side of his tire and he'd go veer off to the left or the right, he's dead, right? And he's sitting up there, and he pumps his chair, and he rolls down this thing and busts out a backflip and lands it. And so I'm going, now I'm going, well, now I have to do it. A guy in a wheelchair just did it. And the point is that I don't have to pedal, because he didn't. I don't have to pump. He didn't. I just have to hang on, because that's all he did. you nut up, and what I found out is that they 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 make this thing to where if you took a bowling ball and you rolled the bowling ball down the entrance and off the launch ramp, it lands right on the foam pit. It's calculated for the speed and the distance and the length of it's calculated out. So if you nut up, anybody can do it.
Danny, do you know he's talking about wheels? Have you heard of wheels?
No, but I know that mega ramp thing because I've seen that on TV because people were doing that on.
He's world famous. They call him Wheels.
Oh, the guy on the wheelchair. I've actually seen stuff of him.
Yeah.
Good guy. I think 3 years ago he got a wheelchair stolen, and he was on the news.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Did you go down the ramp, Eddie? I don't know what the conclusion of that story was.
So I nutted up, and one of the guys, his name was Special Greg, said, and it was part of the Pastrana gang, right? And Greg says, don't just jump off it. You got to do a trick. You got to either do a backflip, a front flip, a tabletop, a 360, jump off it, because if you do, you're going to dead sailor. Right off the bat, you dead sailor, and it doesn't work. So I have photos of me doing a full backflip and landing on the back.
Nice, man. That just eliminated one of our questions.
Yeah, I asked him that question before he came on, Danny.
Yeah, because me and Kevin were like, has Eddie did a backflip? And I go, I don't know. I don't remember seeing him doing a backflip in a magazine.
And I asked Eddie, and he's like, fuck yeah, I did it. I did it after Yanez did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after I seen Jose do it, I had to learn it. And like once you see somebody do it, and it's not a myth anymore, like it's feasible, it's possible, it's not hyped up. And once we saw, like I've almost done a backflip by over looping on a jump. It's like, but now trying to do one, oh, it's so much easier.
There you go.
How many tries did it take you, Eddie? How many tries did it take you? 3?
3 tries. That's awesome. Yeah. That's super rad. I saw Jose. Go ahead.
On dirt?
The first time I did it at Sheep Hills in dirt. The second time I did it from a ramp to ramp in my front yard. And one time the bike got launched straight up, and I just did the flip. I landed on my feet. And then we just learned it ramp. It was, it literally out of we put down some mattresses and landing like a resi mat. So
nice. You guys talked about Jose Yanez. I just did a YouTube video last night, and I saw a clip of him, and he was practicing his backflip, and he's at this point. It's 1984, and he's already with the Ringling Brothers Circus. And he goes, I practiced doing my backflips in the lake when I'm on my downtime. And at the end of the video, he did a double backflip. And I'm like, whoa, he was already executing a double backflip in 84. So I was like, dang, and he did it. Now, he did land in water, but if he would have done it, he would have landed flat if he would have did it on dirt. He did it. He did 2 full rotations. So it was pretty awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. I think that
he's
changed.
Definitely before his time.
Oh, I was going to say real quick, Eddie, if you don't mind, now because of the freestyle contest, the way I understand it from reading, it's all judged. So it's not like a racing scenario where whoever crosses the finish line is the winner. That's it, right? So did you ever feel cheated at all during any of these shows? Like, hey, there's no way that guy beat me. Did you ever have that feeling at all?
I personally, when I went to these competitions, when I would go and I wouldn't think of it as being a contest. I thought of it as a big reunion of a bunch of guys getting together and being able to ride. And it was funny is that watching and being there and watching guys ride outside the competition doing flatland, right? They would practice and they were doing their practice runs, and we were all in this big circle. These guys would rip and do their best. And what's funny is that that's the way I rode in my competition, is that I didn't care if I won or didn't win. I just had the most fun. And it was funny is that when these guys came out to actually compete, well, then they got scared, they got tense, they stiffened up, they didn't ride as well as they did in the dam circle, and so they didn't do all that well. And again, I had a different style than everybody else, and I some of them might work that hard, but I look effortless to where it was easy for me. And someone with the entertainment value can see the difference between somebody trying really hard or somebody not trying hard.
Yeah, because I think the standouts in the videos I've seen are you, Blyther, and Dominguez. The three of you look like you could have, it would have been impossible to judge that because you guys were so equally matched. And I've watched some of those videos because I remember reading about it, and now you can go on YouTube and find just about anything. And I go, man, these guys were just killing each other out there, and it was at the highest peak of your riding. I thought it was awesome to watch.
And the other thing is that again, we were in the beginning of freestyle. We didn't know, there wasn't a YouTube channel to show us tricks. There wasn't other magazines that we could look at to show us what else somebody else is doing. We were the guys doing it. We were the guys making the one-hander, one-footers. We were the guys doing 10-foot airs. And we were the ones on the train that was, pushing it forward and creating different styles and going places that no one's gone before, because literally Star Trek, it was something that we didn't know about. We were trying it. One-hander, 140. Is a 540 even feasible doing an air? Yeah, now it is, because we did it.
Did you feel the pressure from the younger guys coming up when you were getting towards the back end of it all?
Oh, for sure. As I got older and I wasn't winning as much, and the younger kids that were coming in, you had Matt Hoffman, you had Josh Wyatt, you had all these younger guys coming in and doing harder tricks, where I still loved riding my bike, and I didn't need to get hurt to prove that I had fun. So I got in, I started doing, BMX was still big, and I started doing commercials where BMX was still big in the commercials. I did 501s, Foot Locker, Mountain Dew, a bunch of different commercials where had BMX involved in it. And then the movie Rad actually came around, and here I'm getting paid to ride my bike in a movie that I would have done anyhow.
Yeah, that Mountain Dew commercial is by far my favorite commercial, man. Have you seen that one, Kevin?
No.
Oh man, it's great. There's a lake jump thing in there, and Eddie's sitting on the handlebars, just kicking his feet, and then it's badass, dude. It gets you pumped up when you watch it. I love it.
Okay, so wait. So on that Mountain Dew commercial, it was so extreme. It was so extreme that some lady called in and said, "Hey, I don't want my kid jumping into a lake on a BMX bike. Take that off the air." And they did, because it was too extreme. Yeah, so it only played for a couple months, and it did a good run. But I did another Mountain Dew commercial, and it actually played on the football.
Like, was it Super Bowl or something?
It was
Super Bowl.
It was a Super Bowl commercial. Commercial. So think about this. It was a guy, and he's riding his DJ bike, and he's chasing after a cheetah, right? And he jumps off his bike, and he lands on the cheetah, and then he pulls a Mountain Dew out of him and says, "Bad kitty." And yeah, that was me riding the bike.
That's awesome.
Before we go any farther, I'm just gonna bring up one place that I've been to. Pipeline in Upland, California. When I say pipeline, what comes to mind, dude?
Full pipe, a pool that had no specific vert or unvertness on that, and the combi pool, which had 3 or 4 feet of vert and coping. So it was one of the gnarliest pools that we've ridden back in the day. I mean, it was scary. I mean, if you've ever been there and sat at the bottom of the pool looking up, especially in the combi bowl, it's straight up and down.
You're talking about the big bowl with the tube,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We raced there, and then after races, we'd ride the bull. And you're right. You look up, and it's like at least 15 feet to the top of the coping, and then you're probably going another 15 on top of that, right? I mean, did you ever measure how far you were above the coping?
So above on the pipe pool, my highest air was about 10 feet. The pool is 13 feet. So, you got 22, 23 feet to the ground if you miss. And there's only been a couple times where I did instead of a 180, I did a 90 and then came down and broke my front wheel, knocked myself out, and it was good stuff.
Did you ride a cruiser in that bowl at one point? Because I could swear it looked like you were on a cruiser, but it could have been a 20-inch GT. Did you ever ride a cruiser?
It was a 20-inch GT, but what I had, and this is what I found out, and I did this a lot, was I tried different things on my bike just to see if it would work. The deal is that Brian and Michael were getting higher, right? And I wanted to get more speed. I wanted to get how do I get more speed? How do I get more air than those guys? And so what I found out is that back in the day, our tires only held 45 psi, but the 1 3/8 tires held 90 psi. So
wow!
A faster rotation, speeding, less friction on the ground. It made it faster. The 1 3/8 was a little bit lighter, and so that's what you saw was the skinny wheels that looked bigger, and I had to use 10-speed brakes on the front and the rear. That's what I did. I did so many different things. Like I wanted to try to keep the rotation of the tire going somehow, some way, and I put water inside the tubes just to see if I did an air and I grabbed the brake, would the water still spin inside the tire? It didn't work.
Pretty crazy stuff, Eddie. I didn't.
Okay, I never went to a King of the Skate Parks at Upland. What was the vibe, bro? I mean, did they have to bring you in? Did you have to disguise who you were? I mean, did they sneak you in the back? I mean, did you have your own, were you your own little pit area? Was it groupies? I mean, were there all kinds of chicks always trying to get at you? I mean, what was the vibe, man? I mean, it must have been crazy.
Pipeline, because I rode Pipeline all the time, it wasn't as crazy as you'd think it was. But when we went abroad, and we went to England, and we went to Switzerland, and all these different places, it was like we were rock stars. And we owned, I could stand on top of the ramp and point at any girl and get that one girl at any time. And we lived the rock style life. But the thing was that I wasn't that guy that I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't cuss, I rode my bike, I just had fun. And people said, what else did you do on tour? Well, we didn't have a whole lot of time on tour because we would do the show, we would get in the van, we would drive to the next place, sleep in the hotel, wake up the next morning, set up the ramp, do the show, break down, go to the next show, get a hotel. It was over and over and over. So it lapsed. But I do remember this one time in England, and I feel so bad about this, and I fixed it. But in England, we had a crowd of people, thousands of people that wanted autographs, and the promoter shoved us inside this like a trailer motorhome type style, and he says, we don't have time to sign all these autographs. We got to go to the next show. And so he literally snuck us out the back window of the trailer, and we got in the car and we drove away. And I could see this whole long line of people waiting for our autographs. And from that day forward, I said to myself that I don't want to be that guy ever again. So when I went to Frogtown and I went to Dirty Fest and I've been to, England and Australia, and I see a line down the way, I don't leave that chair and I don't leave that marker until I've signed the last autograph and I've talked to the last person.
Guys, it's Danny Pena over from the BMXPERTS Podcast. I'm excited to announce a little partnership we got going on with SkewedRacewear.com with Cindy Partee. Cindy put together the race kits for us that we're going to debut out in Dirty Fest. They look really, really cool. We should be getting those pretty soon. As you can see, here's some examples of what Cindy can do. Now, the cool thing about this is you can get a full-on race kit for about $195. Now, I know there's some great options out there with Troy Lee and, of course, Fly and things like that. But remember, you're going to spend over $200, $250, and you're going to get a blank slate. With Cindy, you can basically tell her exactly what you want. You can put the logos where you want. You can put your name where you want, numbers on the back, fully custom colors, any design you want. We're really, really excited. As you can see, some of the Send It crews already rocking that apparel. So I'm looking forward to getting the kit. If you guys are interested in this, again, it's www.skewedраcewear.com. Reach out to Cindy and she'll get you all hooked up. Thanks a lot, guys.
And this is something else where I, autographs, should you charge for them? Like, dude, it's an autograph. How long does it take? It's just a signature. But what, and the signature that I have, that literally everybody that I signed, I talked to. I sat there and what kind of bike do you ride? Did you do this? What color was it? We have a conversation. I sign your hat. I sign your bike. We had a conversation. That signature proves that you talked to me, and an individual. But if you buy this signature from eBay, it's worthless.
Worthless.
Love that.
I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I don't have anything. Go ahead.
Dude, I have to imagine that guys like me and Danny, we come up to you all the time at shows and we tell you stories. We tell you this happened back in the day. Does one story ring special in your brain where you think where some guy came up to you and said what you did or your bike or what your tricks were meant to them? Does one story rise above all others in your brain?
I get a lot of these stories. I get a lot of these guys that said, hey, BMX saved my life. I was into drugs. I got a bike. I did freestyle. It saved me. I didn't do drugs anymore. I rode my bike. But the day, so now years later, and I've had all these guys tell me all these things, but now I'm not riding my bike, and I'm just Eddie Fiola, and I'm just another guy on the set, and I'm a stunt guy, and I'm working on The Hangover, right? And my job was to stand on the sidewalk as the cop car is on the sidewalk, and it's supposed, now in the script, it says that this cop car is supposed to be doing 25 to 30 miles an hour, and we're supposed to do this near miss. So the stunt coordinator got a bunch of guys that could, get out of the way. Well, on the day, it turned out to be, they changed it. They made it to where it was only a half a mile an hour, and now we're walking on the set. So anyhow, back up a little bit. I just show up on the set. I'm in Las Vegas. The PA, the production assistant, says, hey, we have your room. It's over here. We've got your wardrobe. Hair and makeup's over there. And do you?
I know where this is going, dude. I know. Go ahead.
You ride a bicycle or something? And I go, yeah, I ride a little bit here and there. She goes, one of our actors is a huge fan of yours. And at this point in time, I have no idea who's on the script. I don't know who's acting in it. I don't know anything about The Hangover. I just got the job and I'm going to do it. So she says, it's our one of our main actors. It's Ed Helms. And I'm going, oh, that's cool. And again, I couldn't put a name to the face. Now I knew his face once I seen who he was. And, but anyhow, I'm on the set. I'm walking in front of the cop car. And then they need to either redo the battery or they need to put more film in the camera or a card or something. And Ed Helms literally jumps out of the cop car, runs over to me and says, you know that trick you do in Rad where you put your leg out and you swing it around? I can do that. I used to have a BMX team and I did freestyle when I was a kid. I had your picture on my wall. I did all this. And now I'm talking to Ed Helms. I'm just another stunt guy on the set. And I'm talking to one of the actors. And I start talking to him. We start going through this BMX thing. And then I started talking about Rad. And he says, and I said, we're trying to get the rights of the movie so that we could give it, sell it on a DVD. And he says, right. Well, who owns it now? He says, I go, Talia Shire owns the rights. She owned the movie. She was that was her production company, Talia Films, that made the movie. That was one of her first movies that she did a production on. And he says, well, the director goes to dinner or breakfast with Talia all the time. And he waves over the director of The Hangover. Now I'm talking to the director and Ed Helms about the movie Rad. And I tell him the whole story about how we're trying, and she doesn't answer her phone, and we're trying to get it and this and that. And he says, I'll call her right now. And he starts dialing her number. And he says, I'll get you the rights right now. And he calls her, and she didn't answer. So that's my, and that's as far as it went, is that cool. I have Ed's number. I've got, the producer, the director's number. It's just what it is. And I didn't get the rights, but this, on the 22nd of this month is Rad Day. And they're going to show not only Rad, but they're going to show a clip of my documentary called Effortless, also on Rad Day. So,
is that going to happen before the movie starts, or is it after the credits roll? Do you know?
After the credits.
Oh yeah, I'm going to stick around for that. I've been going to Rad Day for a couple of years. I missed it last year, and I was disappointed, but I'm going to go this time around. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. So we're going to be we're specifically going to the one in Temecula. So we have some special guest stars that are going to be showing up. Mike Miranda's coming. Brian Blyther's coming. There's a couple other people that might show up. But in Temecula, don't forget, buy your tickets now. And we will also have a special signing poster that we're giving away on that day to the people that show up at the Temecula theaters.
Kevin, you better go. Kevin,
I gotta go, man.
If you don't go to that, dude.
Eddie, I've never seen the movie, dude. And Daddy's been giving me shit ever since we met. You got to see the movie. Now, what better situation to watch the movie when Fiola sitting in the same theater?
Last year, we went to, I think it was Escondido. We tried to go to a different theater every time, but this time we're going to go to Temecula. But we show up at the theater, and it was funny is that, not that many people were there, and a couple people scraggled in, and the beginning things are going up, and this guy, I asked this guy sitting next to me, I'm going, have you ever seen this movie before? And he goes, oh yeah, I love this movie, I love this thing, BMX, and he had no idea who I am. Right? He's sitting next to me, and then he goes,
Wow.
"Have you seen the movie?" I go, and that's there's a lot of people, and I got to give it to this. There's a lot of people who have seen the movie Rad that aren't into BMX but love the movie.
Right.
And they don't know who I am. They don't know who Brian Blyther, Mike Dominguez, Stu Thompson, Greg Hill. They don't know any of those people, but they know who Crew Jones is, and they think that Crew Jones rides. Right? So anyhow, this guy asked, if I seen the movie, and I go, well, I kind of worked on it. He goes, really? Can you tell me when you're on screen? And I'm going, are you sure? Are you sure you want to know this? Because I'm on it a lot.
You are. You're pretty much the whole movie, dude.
Who doubled what's her face? The girl. Who doubled her?
There's a couple different scenes where in the dance routine, Martin doubles her when she bunny hops over the bike in the very beginning, and she turns around and says, "Hey, come on in."
Okay.
Then during the dance routine, while they're dancing, they're doing the bicycle boogie. Martin plays Crew, and Pat Romano plays the girl. Earlier in the movie, where Crew asks her, what is all this number one stuff about? And they ride through the park and they start doing little jumps here and there. Well,
yeah.
Martin is Crew at that point in time, and I am Christian at that time. So if you ever look at her butt, it's mine.
Yeah, I can see the wig. It's clearly a wig when you're like bunny hopping and stuff like that.
Hey, no offense.
It was funny that I tried.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's funny is that I tried, no offense to women who race now, because they got skills. But
yeah,
girls that rode back then, they kind of rode on the stiff side, right? So I tried to ride as stiff as I could, but still do tricks here and there. And so, yeah, the wig didn't fit all that well. The pants didn't fit. Legally, I can say I got into her pants.
That's so funny, man.
That's a cold open right there, man.
Yeah, that was man. So what's the date on that again, Eddie?
The Rad is playing at the theaters in I think 1,300 theaters across the United States on the 22nd and the 24th. So I will be at the Temecula one on the 22nd.
That's a Sunday, right?
Correct, at 4:00.
Sunday at 4. Okay, that's really good to hear, man. I'm excited.
It's on a Sunday. That means there's a good chance I can make it.
Yeah. You're usually home around Sunday.
Yeah. So my favorite BMX scene of all time is Pat in Pretty in Pink, dude. That when he's doing that one-handed wheelie around the corner, I just thought that was so bitchin', man.
Right. Yeah, Pat Romano, and remember, there's another movie where they had BMX guys doing tricks in Quicksilver.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, Quicksilver was cool.
Kevin Bacon's riding around on the fixies, and then Martin and Woody are both on their bikes doing tricks on 26-inch mountain bikes of some sort, or 10 speeds that they had to ride. But they were using artistic cyclists like Pat Romano. Yep.
That's awesome, man. I know we got to play trivia, but I got one other thing I was going to ask you. It's kind of funny. You kind of resemble Tom Cruise, man. Has anybody ever told you that?
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
I get it all the time.
Yeah. You never doubled for Tom in anything?
Well, the thing is that he's got this height problem that he says he's 5'8", though a lot of people say he's not. And I don't care how tall I am. I'm really tall on my bike. So it doesn't, and it's great that he does his own stunts, but I nothing against Tom and him doing his own stunts, but he's taking money away from the stunt people that could have done it. So on that last movie he did, remember he rode the motorcycle and he launched off the edge of the cliff and skydives, right?
Yeah, that was badass, by the way.
He had to learn. He could ride motorcycles, but he couldn't jump that well. So they made jumps that were bigger and then bigger and then bigger, and that took a couple months to do. And then he had to learn how to jump off the bike, and that took a couple months to let him do, or a couple weeks. And then they had to do, he was skydiving, and then that took a couple weeks, where they could have hired one guy that could ride a motorcycle and skydive one day, and you wouldn't have to take 6 months to learn the whole thing. But because he's Tom and he has the money, do whatever you want. But I also found out that he had a stunt double, and his stunt double actually got an award for doing some stunts that he did for Tom. Well, he's no longer Tom's stunt double.
Oh.
Because Tom has his own stunts.
Yeah, when I saw you in person, I go, God dang, he looks like Tom Cruise. And I never put that together until like kind of recently. And I'm like, I wonder if he did some stuff for Tom.
I wish I could have, but if I did, I couldn't tell you if I did or not.
There you go.
More secrecy.
All right.
Hey, are you? Can you throw it down on a dirt bike too? Or are you average? Or are you above average? Or are you really good?
I think I'm above average, but I like going to the desert. I like riding my 250. I got a couple dirt bikes behind me. Right. I got a 250F Cowie. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Couple trials bikes back there. Anyhow, yeah, I like to scrub. I'm learning the whip. I'll send you a couple pictures of me riding moto. Matter of fact, Steve Caballero and I ride Paula usually on Mondays.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever ridden Glen Helen?
You know what? I'm not a big fan of Glen Helen. Again, if I'm going to ride a track, I want it pristine. I want the jump smooth. I want everything built just that day. The Glen Helen, it's an outdoor track. It's rough. It sucks, but it sucks for everybody. And I don't want to ride a track that isn't fun. If you like that type of track.
Yeah, Danny, Glen Helen is a very, very popular, very world-renowned motocross track not too far from my house. And I was a vet beginner. I had probably raced 3 or 4 times on a dirt bike. I've ridden dirt bikes my whole life, but I only raced 3 or 4 times up to that. And I raced the big track. And there was I was vet beginner, and there was a 70-foot triple. And wow. I could do the double, but there were guys in my race that were clearing the triple. I'll go, your asshole sandbagging dude, you're not a beginner doing a 70-foot triple, dude. There's no way.
No.
So I just wondered if you ever rode Glen Helen.
Yeah, I rode Star West, Milestone, Paris, Elsinore. Yeah, a lot of the tracks. Yeah, I like riding.
Well, you want to do some trivia, Danny?
If we're ready to do some trivia, I'm ready to go, guys. I feel better now.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, first off, Eddie, let me shake your hand virtually. Good luck.
All right. So, Eddie, this is pretty simple. We have two categories, BMX and pop culture. Pop culture is all 80s related, so it's easy for us to relate to as old guys. And then the pop culture, BMX is what it is. It's all BMX. I try to keep it freestylish for you. So it's going to be good. It's 1 point per question. If you miss, Kevin can steal and vice versa. So pretty simple stuff. All right. First of all, before I forget, man, this is the baddest picture ever. And I'm not even a freestyler, man. I just love that photo. You should make posters of that.
We have some. We have the Etsy. Somebody on Etsy or Temu is actually making one out of metal and that they're selling. I don't make any money off it yet, but they're the weird one was that somebody took that photo and did some AI to it. And for as many years as I've been alive, I've never got off that bike in the photo. And somebody AI'd it. And man, when I get off that bike, I am super tall.
I love that, man. All right. So, Eddie, you are the guest. You get to go first. Would you like to do a BMX question or pop culture? What would you like to do?
I'm going BMX.
BMX. All right, here we go. California Light manufactured what product?
California Light. Pads?
Pad sets. There you go. We start a little easy and they get a little harder. So that's a good one. One for Eddie. All right, let's go. Kevin, are you ready? I think Kevin's frozen. And he's either frozen or are you there?
Okay, I'm back.
All right, Kevin. Eddie got his first question right.
I heard that. BMX.
Okay, BMX. Here we go. Pro Class wheels were made by what company?
BMX products.
Can you go a little further?
Mongoose.
Mongoose. Good job, my dude. All right. All right. You ready, Eddie?
Yep.
All right. What do you want to do?
Oh, it doesn't jump back and forth. I have to go with, let's go pop culture. Let's try that.
All right. Pop culture. Here we go. What movie featured the catchphrase, "I'll be back"?
Terminator.
Terminator. All right.
But he did that. He did that in a lot of movies. I mean, like he did that in Predator. He did that in Jingle All the Way. He did it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I should give him.
He's very proud of that, boy. You see his interviews. He's very proud of that line.
Yeah, that's the line that made him famous, dude. All right, Kev, what do you think?
Pop culture.
Pop culture. Here we go. In The Karate Kid, what BMX cruiser was Daniel riding?
Well, it was just a regular. Wait.
Just the brand name's all I'm looking for.
Mongoose.
It was a Mongoose. Eddie was dying. He wanted to steal it.
But it was a 2.4. It wasn't a moose goose, right? It was a 2.4.
I believe so.
Exactly. And matter of fact, Pat Romano probably still has that bike in his backyard.
What? Really? That's crazy, man. That needs to be in the museum. All right, so Eddie, what do you want to try?
I'm going pop culture again.
All right, here we go. What movie featured the catchphrase "inconceivable"?
I know exactly. It is the Prince. Damn it!
You're there. You're almost there.
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. There you go. I love that movie, by the way, man. I still like watching that movie.
He just passed away a couple years ago, right?
I believe so, yeah.
The guy that said that?
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He was great in that movie. All right, so Kev, it's back to you. It's 3-2 BMX. Eddie's got a small lead. Here we go. In 1985, what famous freestyler endorsed the Pena Racer Extra Light tubes? That's a tough one.
What year?
1985.
Eddie Fiola.
Not Eddie Fiola. Eddie, do you know?
R.L. Osborne.
R.L. Osborne. Yeah, Eddie with the steal. All right, so we're up to 4-2. Eddie, it's your turn again. What do you want to do?
I kind of like the pop culture.
Going back to pop culture. Here we go. The Huxtables were from what TV show in the 1980s?
Cosby Show.
Cosby Show. Good one. All right.
All right.
Hey, Eddie's better at this than I thought.
Yeah, dude, see? Yeah, okay. Pop culture.
Pop culture. Here we go. Who starred in the hit show, TV show, The Fall Guy? Who was the lead actor?
Oh, dude, Lee Majors, dude. I love that show.
Lee Majors. All right.
I'm not one to kiss and tell, but I'm in Sea with Farrah, dude. I love that song, dude.
Eddie can relate to that because he's an actual fall guy. So that's actually pretty cool. All right, Eddie, back to you. 5-3 your lead.
Let's go BMX.
In 1985, the Rockville BMX catalog featured what pro freestyler in their ad?
Depends on what year. I mean, because usually I've been in there once or twice.
1985.
Yeah, me.
Yep, Eddie Fiola. I was like, if he gets it wrong, it's going to be so funny, dude. We're going to make a million reels out of that one. All right, Kev, what you want to do?
Pop culture.
Sean Penn married what famous singer in the 1980s?
Madonna.
Madonna, easy one. Good job, Kev. Kevin rarely misses music-related questions. He's like really on top of that stuff. All right, Eddie.
Pop culture.
1984, King of the Skate Parks, round one in Upland was won by Eddie Fiola, Mike Dominguez, or Brian Blyther.
I said pop culture, but I'll answer that one. Can you redo? Can you say it
sorry.
again?
I didn't hear you. Okay, 1984, King of the Skate Parks, round one in Upland was won by Eddie Fiola, Mike Dominguez, or Brian Blyther.
Me.
Eddie won that one. You also won highest air during that contest too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I was hoping Kevin would have got that one. Sorry, Kevin.
Pop culture. Pop culture.
Going back to pop culture. Bill Murray starred in what popular golf movie in the 1980s?
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Good one. All right. You guys are on fire today. What do you think, Eddie? What do you want to try?
I'm going pop culture.
All right. Groovy Kind of Love was performed by what 80s music pop icon?
I'm going to pass.
That's everybody's wedding song, dude. Do you know who sang Groovy Kind of Love, Kevin?
You sure do. I sure do.
Who is it?
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. All right. Ooh, that brings it closer. It's 6-7. Kevin, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. Pop culture.
You guys are killing me on the pop culture. Here we go. The special effects found in The American Werewolf in London was also used for what music video?
Thriller.
Thriller. Good job. It's tied up 7-7. Going back to Eddie. What do you want to do, Eddie?
BMX.
BMX. Here we go. Besides pad sets, what popular product did Flight make in the 1980s? Everybody was using them.
Who?
Eddie's like, they didn't pay me to use their stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's I didn't use any Flight products. I'm gonna say grips.
You're very close.
Very close, Danny.
Very close.
Donuts.
Donuts. Donuts is the answer we're looking for. Yeah. They made the donuts that went. Not bad, Eddie. You were right there. All right. Going back to Kevin. Go ahead, Kev.
All right. Pop culture.
All right. Here we go. In the 1986 movie Cobra, who played Marion Cobretti?
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Not bad. All right. Eddie, have you ever met Sylvester Stallone?
That movie was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop, and they changed it.
Well, that would have been a horrible Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Yeah, I didn't meet Stallone, but I've met Schwarzenegger, and I worked on Spider-Man. I worked on The Hangover. I worked on what's another big movie? The Italian Job.
Wow.
The Contraband. Worked with Mark Wahlberg, and
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Damn, you've been around, my dude.
yeah.
All right. You ever when you write a book, Eddie, if you decide to write a book, you're going to have to really put some effort into what you've done on the stunt side, besides BMX, because it's pretty awesome.
Right. So I mean, like there's an international database called the IMDb that you can go to the internet and look at. Just put my name in, and you see a lot of the movies that I've worked on. And then I did write a book, and it's called When I Was King.
Yes, we didn't talk about that, Kevin. I failed as an interviewer today.
You failed, dude.
I got to get that book because I'm going to review that book. I'm going to do it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're at 9-7.
And my turn.
It's back to Kevin.
BMX.
All right. Here we go. In 1985, GT team riders used what race pants, excuse me. In 1985, the GT freestyle and race team riders used what type of race pants?
Dyno.
Sorry, I kind of got my words jumbled up, but you knew what I was saying. All right, going back to Eddie, what do you think?
Pop culture.
Pop culture, here we go. The 1984 music hit Like to Get to Know You Well was performed by who?
Yeah, I'm not a good music person whatsoever. I just like listening to music. And I don't care who sings it. I don't care what lyrics are on it. I just listen to the music, and so no, I don't know this one.
Kevin, any idea who that is?
Like to Get to Know You Well?
Yeah, Like to Get to Know You Well. It was featured in that movie. What was it? The one where the kid's trying to kill himself the whole time. It's a comedy. Oh my God, I forgot what it's called. But it's one of my favorite movies from the 80s.
Better Off Dead?
Better Off Dead, yeah. So that song was featured in the movie when they were rebuilding the Camaro.
I like the part where the burger is singing.
Yeah, that's that. I love that.
I don't know, Danny. I'm drawing a blank.
Howard Jones sang that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. That's one of my favorite songs. So okay, so we're back to Eddie, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eddie, what do you want to do?
Let's go pop culture.
All right, here we go. In Back to the Future 2, what shoe company made the futuristic shoes Marty was wearing?
Nike.
They were Nike Air Mags. Those shoes are super expensive, man. If you try to buy them now, they're thousands of dollars to get those shoes.
Just looked at them, $35,000.
That's insane. Golly. That is nuts. They're cool ass shoes, but I'm not spending $35,000 on a pair of Nikes.
Too bad Pat Romano didn't have one of those in his backyard.
There you go. All right, Kev, what you want to do?
BMX.
All right, here we go. What pro freestyler is credited in creating the first freestyle frame?
I think I know this. I think I know it. And it's not Eddie Fiola, right? It's Bob Harrow.
Bob Harrow, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, back to Eddie.
It was a year? It was like 2 years before the performer, right? A year before the performer?
So you know that I was sponsored by Harrow at one time, right?
Yeah.
You and Bob Morales.
Yeah. Bob Morales was also sponsored by Bob, but I mean, I was only sponsored for a day.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Do you know that story? Do you hear about that story?
What happened?
You went to GT.
No. So here's the thing: is that I'm not sponsored by anybody at this point in time, and I got in the magazine, and Bob Osborne took that picture, and I'm wearing Levi's and a T-shirt, and I don't look sponsored at all. And I get a phone call from BMX Plus, and I think it was John Carr that called me and says, "Hey, we'd like to do a photo session with you." And I'm again a kid that would buy the magazines and would wish that I would be in the magazines, and all of a sudden I got a phone call from John Carr that he's going to do a photo session with me. I said, cool, yeah. He says, yeah, we'll do it at Lakewood, we'll do it this, we'll do that. I go, great. I shit you not, like within the next couple of days, I get a phone call from Bob Harrow. Says, hey, you want a sponsorship? I go, yeah, he says, yeah, we'll hook you up. We'll give you the clothes, we'll give you the shirt, we'll give you the pants, we'll give you a bike, we'll give you everything you want to do. We heard you might have a photo session coming up. I go, yeah, how'd you know? No, we know these things. I said, okay, cool. I do the photo session. I get 6 pictures in the magazine. 6. That have all Harrow gear and the Harrow bike and Harrow everything. And the next day after the photo session, I get another phone call from Bob Harrow saying, hey, man, we're going to need the bike back because, it's the only one. It's the only one we have, and we got to do photo sessions with it, and we got to promote it, but we'll get back to you. We'll get it back to you. Cool. I'm sponsored by Harrow, and I'm going to get a bike back. Never saw a bike again. Never saw a bike again. Bob is a businessman, and he did what he needed to do to get the bike exposure. Now, years later, Bob no longer owns Harrow, and they were redoing the Harrow Freestyle, the master, the first one that they ever made, and they retroed it, right? And I get a phone call from Joe Hawk, said, hey, I'd like you to tell that story at the reveal of us giving away the bikes to all the riders. Cool. It's in Vegas. Harrow pays for me to go to Vegas. I'm in the audience. They're handing bikes out to all the riders that ride for Harrow. And Joe says, hey, we got one last guy to come up and tell a story. And that's me. And so I go up and I'm standing next to the podium, and I'm looking down and I see Bob Harrow. So I have to tell this story with Bob in the audience. And I literally tell the story of my one day of being sponsored by Bob Harrow, and Joe Hawk literally hands me the bike that I was supposed to get 30 years ago. So,
wow.
Oh, dude, that's so bitching, dude.
I love that story, dude. All right, so we're almost through it, gentlemen. It is 11-8. Eddie's turn, right?
Yeah, Eddie's turn.
All right, Eddie.
BMX.
All right, here we go. Bob Harrow, R.L. Osborne, and Eddie Fiola all rode what type of wheels in the 1980s?
Skyway Tough Wheels.
Skyway Tough Wheels. How do you feel about Skyways, Eddie? Did you like them, man, or was it just something to get paid for, or did you truly like them?
So there's a good story.
I think I know the story.
I got sponsored by Skyway. They gave me the wheels. Their mags were okay, but when they gave me the graphites, they were stronger. They were better. They flexed less, but I couldn't do the airs that I wanted to do to beat Brian and Michael. So even though Skyway paid me, I had to ride some aluminum rims. And so to disguise those rims, I put these wheel disc covers on, and I put Skyway stickers. So there's pictures in the magazine of me with these wheel discs with Skyway stickers on them. I won the contest, but lost my sponsor. So,
oh wow.
That was a good move, though.
Yeah. So the other thing is that back in the day, you couldn't get those brakes to work no matter what. The 990s, the MX 1000s, nothing would work on those rims, and so it didn't work. But now with V brakes, 990s, and clear brake shoes, I'm actually running those rims again. I have them on my bike that I ride today.
Nice.
Hey, before I forget, where did you guys come up with the name of POTS for POTS Mod? Is that an acronym for something, or is there someone called named POTS?
So the one day that I was at the Bicycle Source, right? We're at the Bicycle Source, and we're trying to figure out a way to spin our bars that our front cable wouldn't get hooked up in it. And I'm talking to somebody, and Mike Buff is there, and his brother that actually helped own the shop of the Bicycle Source, and I'm saying if there's a way that we could drill a hole or have a hole in the stem. I had an idea, I just didn't know how to do anything with it. But Mike Buff's brother, I don't know if it's a stepbrother or what, but Mike Buff's brother was a machinist of some sort, and his name is Steve Potts.
There you go. There you go. Hey,
Now we know.
What came first, the POTS mod or the gyro, or the POTS?
The POTS mod. POTS. Yep.
And what's the other? What was the one that ACS made? It was the
rotor.
The rotor.
Yep. Brian Skura did the gyro.
Yeah. Now, is the correct terminology? They're all called detanglers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the gyro became like the Coke of the naming, like all the different detanglers. People just call them a gyro.
Right. There's a good story on Brian's thing. Brian came up with this idea. He put in a patent. He spent all his money. He lost his house. He's living in the garage of his wife's mother's house. He's lost everything to make. He built this gyro, and he's trying to sell it. And I think Odyssey bought it, and the first residual check that Brian got was $900,000.
Oh!
Because it came on every single bike after that.
That's amazing.
Every company had it. So yeah, Brian did well on that one.
Hey Eddie, I owned a bike shop, dude, and when kids brought those their bikes, I hated working on those damn gyros, dude. Oh man, they were a pain in the ass, dude. But yeah, every Huffy that comes out of Walmart has a gyro on it.
Right.
That's insane.
All right. I'm sorry. Whose turn? Is it my turn?
It's your turn. Eddie got the last one right.
Okay. Pop culture.
This is the last pop culture. Here we go. All right. I'm loving it refers to what fast food chain?
McDonald's.
McDonald's. All right. That's it for the pop culture, gentlemen. We're down to BMX. It is 11-9. 12-9. It's a pretty close race. And it's back to Eddie.
BMX, right? Because that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Brian Blyther would have been teammates in 1985 with Stu Thompson for what company?
I'm going to say I'm not saying Murray.
Okay.
I'm saying the other company. I know the company. It's not God. Why?
Wow.
Blank. Brain fart.
Kevin just said it.
And I know that it's not Team Murray. It's the other company that was a huge brand that was at Walmart and Kmart and all these places. But I'm always riding a GT or a Hutch or a Sting. Well, it wasn't even a Stingray. It was damn it. What? The second he says it, I'm just gonna feel like an idiot.
I'm gonna bequeath it to. It's Huffy, Eddie.
Huffy.
Huffy's the one.
Yeah, Huffy.
Red,
All right.
Red, white, and black.
Poor Eddie, dude. He was like, I know the answer. All right.
Eddie, like 5 episodes, Danny asked me what band sang the song Teen Spirit. And I sat there and I couldn't think of Nirvana for the life of me, dude. It just escaped me. I was like, I don't know I couldn't think of it. So I can relate to what you're doing, man.
All right, my dude. Here we go. It's
right.
Back to Mr. Kevin.
Okay.
Woody Itzen rode for 2 factory teams in the 1980s. Can you tell me who those factory teams were?
Well, Hutch was one of them.
There you go.
And GT.
Eddie, can you take it?
Diamondback.
Hutch and Diamondback. Those are the ones. All right, there you go. Okay, now it's back to Eddie. In 1984, Hugo Gonzalez rode for what factory team?
Skyway.
Skyway. Did that guy really crash a lot, or was that rumors?
No. He tried things that nobody else tried. He did things that nobody else did. And with that, you're going to expect something that's not going to end well. And I've seen him hit the ground more than once. And he actually won a competition against me in 1986 in the World Expo competition. He won because I didn't wear a mouth guard.
Oh,
I got disqualified.
So there's an asterisk by that win. All right, you ready, Kev?
Yeah.
Off the Wall refers to what?
Van's Shoes and Michael Jackson's album.
Van's Shoes is the answer I was looking for, and we're looking good. Okay. And then back to Eddie. Mike Buff was running what wheels in 1984?
ACS.
ACS Z wheels, and that does it, guys. Final score, 14, Kevin and Eddie with a respectable 12.
Oh, man.
Not bad.
Thank you, man. And before we say goodbye, Eddie, I have one more question. What was your involvement with the ET bike? Now, I've heard 2 different stories about how Kuwahara ended up with the contract. Is it true what Mike Devitt said, where Spielberg was driving down the street, saw a bunch of kids in a lot jumping? He goes up to the guy and says, the best guy that was jumping, and said, "What kind of bike? What's your favorite bike?" And the guy says, "I love Kuwaharas," and that's how they got it. Or was it a different? Was that true? Do you know?
I do not know. What I do know is that when Bob Morales got us hooked up with Howie Cohen, and Howie had already done the deal with ET and the bicycles, so he had myself and John Hutland do BMX freestyle shows in Japan to promote ET. So we rode around. I got pictures of myself and John Hutland doing freestyle shows. And what was funny is that John is probably 6 foot something, and he towers over me, and he's blonde hair, blue eyes, and he doesn't fit in Japan, where I just blended in, and I'm short and dark hair. Yeah. So it was a good time. So
This is
the
Kuwahara right here, right? That you're on right here.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. When I looked at the photo, I was thinking it has you in the caption, but I'm like, is that Eddie? Because I couldn't tell if that was you or Bob Morales, and so that's definitely you then.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Nice. Well, Eddie, we're just tickled pink, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and to talk to us. And after talking to you, there's a reason why you're such an ambassador to the sport, or for the sport. And I couldn't thank you more than enough. Thank you enough. Thank you so much, Eddie, for taking the time.
Well, it's all good. Like if you guys have any other times you want to do, you got other questions and things like that, I'm all into talking about BMX and my love for the sport. So that brings me back to the love of the sport, right? And I tell everybody this, where you, me, anybody who builds the bike, rides the bike, we have a certain love for the sport of BMX, where people who just act like they ride a bike or act as if they were part of a team of some sort, that's not BMX. And so it really chaps my hide that when I see somebody trying to make money off of BMX that has really nothing to do with it, it makes me mad. It makes me upset that, somebody's getting, scammed from somebody that doesn't love the sport like we do. So I'm not saying names or anything.
Yeah.
And in closing, Eddie, I will say that I had the exact same experience in high school. My principal let me take my bike to school in every one of my classes. And if I promised to go to school, and I only kept up that promise for about a week, and then I started ditching it. But I did take my bike into class, and it was a JMC Daryl Young. And that's
Nice.
I want to say one more thing, and before Eddie goes, is Eddie, I'm a big-time race fan, but certain freestylers hit my wall, and you were up there, dude. You and Dominguez, Blyther, you guys were on my wall because you guys were so freaking rad, man. And I, even though I'm a big race guy, I had a lot of respect for what you guys did for the sport, and thank you very much for taking the time to even just talk to us. And it was awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And back to that JMC, I had Harry Leary on I think it was a red JMC cover shot of a circle, and he's in the middle of it doing a look back. Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah. That was iconic. Absolutely, dude. Yeah.
Okay, Eddie, let's go eat some dinner, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
we'll see you at Gale Webb one of these days.
Hey, you got it. Hey, let me know when you're out there. I know I talk to people all the time. If they message me, hey, I'm going to go to Gale Webb, I'll show up. I'll try to get there. I'll ride my bike. But lately, I've been riding my dirt jumpers. Have you guys seen my dirt jumper? Yeah, so it looks like a performer. And you guys know about the performer, pro-former name and all that other stuff that's going on, and why I had to cut my pro-former sticker in half and switch the sides, and now it's a former pro.
No, what happened?
He did the sticker backwards.
Yeah. So when I made when GT had the performer, it was great, and I helped make the name because I was a performer. Well, then they stopped making the performer, and so I made a pro-former, right? And then I got a letter from GT saying cease and desist, and then they found out I was only going to do like 150 bikes or 200, and they said, okay, sell out and don't make any more. And then I got a hold of Bill Ryan over at Supercross. He says, we should make bikes. I go, I can't because of the name and this and that. Says, no, we can do this. I got an idea. He literally goes, take the name Proformer, cut it in half, switch the sides. Now it's a former pro, and they can't say anything to you.
Dude, Bill Ryan is a genius, man. That guy's a genius.
That's awesome.
Hey, there's a whole resurgence in those bikes that you were riding. And I know we got to let you go eat dinner, but I saw a guy on YouTube, man, and he has a collection of pro performers that's worth over $100,000. And I was like, damn, people love that bike, dude.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So you did. That's all you.
Speaking of bikes, it's I think it's my 4 years that I sold my GT. I only had one left. I only had, when you're sponsored and they give you bikes, I don't need another bike. And with GT, they wanted to make sure that my bikes looked perfect. There was no scratches. The stickers are perfect. So every time I went to a show, my bikes were immaculate. And I got a bike after another bike and a bike, and they just kept giving me boxes. And they didn't want the old ones back. They could care less. So my neighbors had BMX or had GTs, and my cousins had GTs, and I gave bikes away left and right. But I had kept one, and this one was the King of the Skate Parks bike that I rode in the movie Rad, that I run King of the Skate Parks on, that had the 1 3/8, that was hand built by Gary Turner, that close up looked completely different than a performer, but far away looks identical to a performer. Well, 4 years ago, I got a phone call from this guy and said, this is I think it was the beginning of COVID. He calls me up and says, "Hey, I heard you have a bike for sale." I go, "No, I have a bike, but it's not for sale. It's hanging up on my wall, collecting dust." And he says, "No, you have a bike for sale." I go, "No." He says, "Well, everything's for sale."
Oh.
And I gave him a price that I thought nobody would buy a bicycle for.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm on my way. I have cash."
Oh, did you sell it?
Yeah. 4 years
How much,
ago.
Eddie? Can you tell us, or you disclose? You want to keep that to yourself?
Should we go the full story?
Yeah.
Story.
Yes. Yes. Let's do that.
So he goes. I said 25 grand. He says, "I'm on my way." I said, I now I'm backpedaling.
Yeah.
I sold my bike. Damn it. Now I'm thinking to myself, I'm having seller's remorse. I told the guy I'm going to have to think about it. And he jumped on that number so fast. I'm thinking, what else can I sell him?
Hey guys, Danny Pena over at the BMXPERTS Podcast, along with Kevin Wilson, the founder and producer of the show. Hey, we want you guys to take the time to check out our website. It's under www.bmxpertspodcast.com. Kevin's put a lot of work and energy into creating the website, and of course he's the creator of the show, and we're definitely jumping into the merch game more. So we have some of the newest gear out right now. As you can see, the BMXPERTS Podcast hat there and the latest t-shirts. This is the stuff Kevin and I have been wearing on the show recently, and we're really anxious to get some of this merchandise out. If you're interested, please go to the website, place your order, and Kevin will get you all hooked up. We got more stuff that's in the works. Kevin's always at the drawing board there, trying to come up with some more ideas for the show. We definitely appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us as the show continues to grow, pick up more momentum, and we're picking up a lot of great guests over the last couple months. It's been super exciting to see the progress of the show. But anyway, as I mentioned, please check out the website, take a look at it. You can see us on YouTube, BMXPERTS Podcast, and we'll see you guys out there. Have a great day.
And I'm thinking, I have the King of the Skate Parks trophy, and I've got a couple jerseys, and I've got a Bell helmet, and I said, and I'll come to your house and do a show and hand it to you, and we can do all this stuff. And so I called them back and I said, I'll do all of this. Let's go 50 grand.
Oh.
And he goes, I'm going to have to talk to my wife.
Oh.
So he thinks about it, and he calls me back in a week. Now, take it, this is the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
And I found out that what he did was that he's an IT guy, and that he came up with a program to work from home during COVID.
Oh, this is COVID money.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyhow, he calls me back. He says, I don't want this and I don't need that, but I'll do everything for 45.
Whoa.
and I couldn't turn it down. I couldn't turn it. When's that opportunity ever going to happen again?
45 grand, dude, for Eddie Fiola's bike. That is the most epic story we've ever heard on this podcast.
So that being said, it just went to a bike show in Oregon that had the trophy, had the pictures, had the bike, and it was on display, and this guy is showing it. So instead of nobody getting to see it in my garage, in my backyard, in my house, everybody gets to see it, and he's putting it out there on the shows. So he's doing a real good thing with it.
Man, if you can get some photos of that bike to Kevin, man, we need to see him for the.
I have the first option. If he ever sells it, I get to buy it back.
There you go, dude. That was awesome, man. I can't think of a better question, Kev. Can you?
That was who came up with who sparked that? When your question sparked that story, Danny?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
I don't remember, but whoever asked it was great. All right, Eddie, thank you so much, bro. Thank you. We'll see you.
You got it. All right, we'll see you guys.
Later.
I'm out.
Later, Eddie. Woo! That's gonna blow the internet up.
Oh man, dude. So was he breaking up with you or just me?
Oh, he was breaking up a lot. I was trying to stay focused as much as I could, and I was able to understand what he was saying, but we had a little bit of a glitch going on there, but I didn't care.
There was 2 or 3 times where I was like, do I stop this thing and redo it? Or do I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to let it roll. I don't know.
I think it's fine. I mean, for the most part, you can understand what he's saying, and it's just we've already done 2 hours, dude. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. It's done.
Dude, dude, have you noticed that? Why are we so surprised when we interview these big time guys? Like every time I interview somebody, I'm thinking, this is the coolest dude I've ever talked to. But they're all the same way, dude. Like, why do I have a preconceived notion, dude? It's weird, man. I gotta get over it. I don't know, man.
I think it's a pleasant surprise, and when I did my video last night, I made a comment because I introduced my video with a clip of us talking to Greg Hill, and he was showing some photos of his wife, and I stopped it and I said, the weird thing is that you have these childhood heroes and you put these guys kind of on a pedestal, and none of them have disappointed me, dude. None of them. Like, we talk to them and they're just awesome. Like, I mean, Greg, Stu, all the guys that have come on and talked to us, every single one of them, they're just awesome guys. It's just been great. I can't honestly say, oh man, that guy turned out to be a real jerk. None of them have done that.
What I would have missed out 3 years ago if I didn't have some stupid idea to start a podcast, and if I would have quit the 20 times that I wanted to quit in 3 years, I never would have been in the position. Dude, it's insane what just a little bit of tenacity can and embarrassment can do for somebody, man. I'm just shocked. I'm so thankful that I met you and that I didn't quit. And it's so awesome. And every time you say, Kevin Wilson, the founder of the BMX Podcast, it chokes me up, man. Like, fuck, dude. I have all my crazy ideas, dude, that I've ever had. One's working out, man. One's working out. It's awesome, dude. And maybe someday, like 30 years from now, there's gonna be some other podcast, and we're gonna be the question. We're gonna be a tricky question, man. It's great. I love it. Yeah,
dude. Hey, were you on the verge of giving up when you met me, dude? Because I
quit before I met you. And my good friend that I grew up with goes, yeah, dude, that was a good thing. Your videos were horrible.
Wow.
And I go, he might not have said it that bluntly, but that's what he was getting to.
Yeah.
You know what, dude? Fuck this dude, man. I'm gonna keep going. And I started doing it again. And
there you go, dude.
I love this shit so much. It's great, man. Thank you, Danny. Thank you for helping me.
Hey, man, that's no problem, dude. I just I was on my own, making my own videos, and the only BMX star I ever interviewed was Terry Tonette, and that's only because he approached me. I never ever thought I was going to interview anybody. Just didn't think it was going to happen. That's not the style of my show. I just do my own thing, and so meeting you and having this opportunity to do this, I even said it in my video last night. I was talking about getting to the 1,000 subscribers, and I said if I didn't get to this, if I didn't keep doing this, I would have never met Kevin. If I hadn't met you, dude, I wouldn't have been able to talk to all these superstars. So, hey, man.
That's great. Hey, can we give a shout out to Shane?
Shane Wimberly, dude. We must say something.
Dude, awesome. We wouldn't be talking to any of these guys if it wasn't for Shane.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we got lucky with a couple, and then Shane was just like, he graciously agreed. I'll reach out to people, and he is not afraid to do it.
So just like I'm not gonna say any names anymore. I think I jinxed the last time.
Yeah.
But we're booked for 2 months.
We're booked for 2 months. Yeah. Can you believe that, dude?
And not with Joe's. We're talking Hall of Famers. We're talking big time guys. We're booked for 2 months.
We're booked for two. Dude, all we could do is do shows with each other. What do you want to try to do today?
Awesome, man. Awesome. So I wanted to, since I know we're doing, but we're never going to have a chance. We're never going to have a chance to sit down, just the two of us again for a show.
It's going to be a minute. Yeah, it's going to be a minute.
So
yeah.
Just so I went to my first national since 1983 a couple of weeks ago, and Danny, it was the worst decision I ever could have made. I was watching the 58 beginners, and I was thinking to myself, I could do this, man. I could do this. So
I'd happy.
I got a bike. I have a felt cruiser. It's like 20 years old, but I do have a felt cruiser. I'm going to be racing beginner. As soon as I have a chance to get up to Grand Prix, I'm going to start getting on the track and start practicing again. I will be slow, but I'm excited, man. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be great. And I called Danny like after I first got there, and I go, dude, this is so overwhelming, man. It was just cultural overload, and it was just crazy, man. And then after I was there for a little while, I started settling down and started getting into the vibe of things. And it's no different than it was back, 40. Well, maybe a little bit different, but it was the same thing. Just a bunch of BMXers. Yeah, it was great. There was like 10 people that were on the show there. I mean, Cindy Partee was there.
John
Salami Richardson. Billy Griggs was there, but I didn't get to talk to Billy when he was there. Joe Tippett was there. I'm drawing a blank of all the people that were there that were on the show. So it was just a great thing. So it was great. Next time we got to get in the same position. We got to go to a national together, a big race.
Yeah, dude, that'll be awesome, man. That'll be awesome. I rode my bike today, dude. I got on the bike today, and I'm excited to get back on the bike, and I love doing this more than anything, but it's just so fun to just be outside riding your bike, dude. It was really cool.
Nice, dude. So before we leave, why don't you go and tell people what you do when you're not with me, man?
All right, Danny Pena, BMX Racing on YouTube. I do BMX magazine reviews, race reviews, all BMX content all the time. Just dropped a video today. It's doing pretty good. Did a little race review, man. So I'm excited. I'm putting a little clips in from the show, and it's leading into my show. So it's working really, really well, dude. Yeah.
We're at 12:51 or 12:52.
Nice, dude. We're gonna break 1,300 here, probably in a couple weeks. I hope.
Yeah, and I'm dropping the City of Partee's commercial in the YouTube or in the Facebook Reels, and I think I'm pissing a couple people off, but you gotta support the sponsor. So we got that. And then that's my boss.
Uh-oh.
I gotta go. Until next week, the track is closed.
Track is closed. Later, Cap.